Okay, guys, welcome back. So I got two stories for you tonight. So the first story, I know we've already wrapped up the Georgia recount, and it only overturns, a little over 2,000 something votes towards Trump. But there is a catch to that. So let me get to the story. So the Georgia recount witnesses saw Trump votes counted for Biden. Who would have thought, right? Afghans also swore to have seen suspiciously pristine, uncreased mail ballots uniformly and perfectly filled out. So, Ian Penchukov, sorry if I butchered your name, Ian Penchukov writes, witnesses of the recount of the presidential election in Georgia have signed sworn statements testifying to having observed ballots cast for President Donald Trump being counted as though they were cast for former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden. Trump campaign attorney Lin Wood filed the affidavits with a federal court in Georgia on November 17th as part of an emergency motion seeking to block the certification of the election results in the Peach State. 9 of the affiants swore to have seen suspiciously pristine, uncreased mail ballots uniformly and perfectly filled out, almost always for Biden. In one case, a batch of such ballots included 500 ballots in a row, all cast for Biden, the Democratic president nominee, Sleepy Joe. The lack of creases is strange, considering that mail ballots have to be folded to fit in the envelope. Some of the witnesses said that the perfect markings, all in the black and never outside the voting bubble, appeared as though they were printed by a machine or stamped. This is all something that we thought, right? Why they're giving us Sharpies. They made sure to fill it in perfectly, but they're giving us Sharpies to bleed through. So emergency motion detailed these and other abnormalities, violations, and potential signs of voter fraud on the night prior to the deadline for Georgia's recount, which was already discovered in 3 counties, batched of uncounted votes for Trump. Everything was in total disarray. Susan Voiles, a poll manager with 20 years of experience handling ballots, wrote in her affidavit about her experience at a recount center in Fulton County. So, pristine ballots. Voiles said that the ballots usually show signs of handling, like written marks, creases, and torn edges, but a batch she counted while working as a recount auditor at the Georgia World Congress Center on November 14th stood out. It was pristine. There was a difference in the texture of the paper. It was as if they were intended for absentee use, but had not been used for that purpose. Voiles testified that there were no markings on the ballots to show where they had come from or where they had been processed. I observed that the markings for the candidates on these ballots were unusually uniform, perhaps even with a ballot marking device, Voiles said. By my estimate in observing these ballots, approximately 98% constituted votes for Joe Biden. Carlos Silva, a registered Democrat, observed a batch of ballots similar to the one described by Voiles, this time in DeKalb County. I noticed that they all had perfect black bubbles and all were Biden select. Silva wrote in a sworn affidavit, I heard them go through the stack and call out Biden's name over 500 times in a row. Robin Hall witnessed the same odd ballots in Fulton County. The ballots appeared to be perfectly filled out as though they were pre-printed with the presidential candidate selected. They did not look like a person filled this out at home, Howe wrote. Deborah Fisher witnessed the same pattern with military and overseas ballots. She noticed that the watermark on the ballots was printed in solid gray instead of being transparent like the other ballots. Fisher suspected that the ballots were counterfeit and inquired with the election director, who told her it was not an issue due to the use of different printers. I noticed that almost all the ballots I reviewed were for Biden. Many batches went 100% for Biden. Fisher testified, I believe the military ballots are highly suspicious of fraud. Trump votes for Biden. 3 of the affidavits testify that they witnessed ballots cast for Trump being placed in stacks for Biden and counted toward the tally for former Vice President Sleepy Joe. One of the 3 said she recorded the activity on video. Nicholas Zaire said he saw ballots cast for Trump being placed in a pile for Biden when he observed the recount in Henry County. Other observers told Zaire they noticed the same activity at 3 other auditor tables. When he had brought the issue to the attention of the election official on site, it was met with extreme hostility. Of course it was, because that's if they don't get their way, they whine, they complain. At no time did I witness any ballot cast for Joseph Biden be placed in the pile for Donald Trump, Zaire testified. Based on my observations, I believe that additional absentee ballots were cast for Donald Trump but counted for Joe Biden. I further believe that there was widespread fraud favoring Joe Biden. Concetta Johnson saw Trump ballots being placed into the Biden tray when she monitored the recount in Cobb County. I also witnessed the same 2 poll workers putting the already separated paper receipt ballots in the no vote and Jorgensen tray and removing them and putting them inside the Biden tray. Johnson testified. They then took out all the ballots out of the Biden tray and stacked them on the table, writing on the count ballot sheet. She said, adding that she recorded a video of the incident. I believe the Board of Elections operations were sloppy, unorganized, and suspicious. Silva, who had also witnessed the unusual pristine ballots, saw absentee ballots for Trump inserted into the Biden stack and counted as Biden votes a few times. Broken rules, hostile officials, multiple witnesses describe persuasive violations of the rules of the recount. Auditors failed to follow the procedure wherein each ballot is first viewed by one person, who reads out loud for whom the vote of the ballot was cast and passes the ballot to a second auditor, who does the same. Several of the observers said the procedure wasn't uniformly followed and that auditors often counted the ballots individually. The affidavits paint a picture of a messy process, with different auditor tables using different processes to tally the votes. Several of the Republican affiants say they faced open hostility by the election officials, who didn't treat the Democratic observers the same way. Of course they didn't. They're on the same team. Ballots were placed in unmarked bins that are unattended or just placed randomly on a counter, just lying around. There appeared to be little, if any, supervision or control. Tiffany Savage, a recount monitor for the Trump campaign, testified. One box of ballots was left unattended for days. Savage said other boxes and bags were left lying around in the open, secured only with blank tags that could easily be cut and replaced with those lying around. There was no way to tell if any counting was accurate, she wrote. Under protest. Trump on November 18th again said that the true vote tally in Georgia would only be possible if the signature on the ballots were audited. Yes. The Georgia recount is a joke and is being done under protest. Hallelujah. Even though thousands of fraudulent votes have been found, the real number is in matching signatures, the president wrote on Twitter, and this is 100% true. They're going to continue to cheat because they already cheated, and they can't give up too much more to Trump because they're going to get exposed, so they're doing anything they can. Let's continue. So, Lynn's motion calls on the federal court to stop Georgia from certifying the results of the election and order another hand recount, which must be performed in a manner consistent with the Georgia Election Code. Among other requests, Lynn asked the court to order that the defendants hand over the ballot envelopes and copies of absentee ballot requests. So why didn't they do this the first time? I mean, if this isn't just the Democrats' fault, this is the Republicans' fault. They really need to step up and stop hiding. Just do your job. We can't count on the Democrats to be fair. So, babysit them if you have to. So, Georgia Chair Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, the defendant, ordered the recount of some 5 million ballots cast in the 2020 presidential election. Raffensperger made the call under a new law that calls for an audit of a single race that after each election, the Trump campaign may request another recount after the state results are certified. Why don't you just do it right the first time? The recount has already uncovered 3 batches of uncounted votes in 3 counties. Each batch cut Biden's lead by a total of over 1,400 votes. On November 18th, the chair of Georgia Republican Party shared a sworn affidavit with the Epoch Times from a recount monitor who caught a miscount that could have added nearly 10,000 votes to Biden's total. One of the monitors discovered a 9,626 vote error in the DeKalb County hand count. One batch was labeled 10,707 for Biden and 13 for Trump. An improbable margin, even by DeKalb standards. The actual count for the batch was 1,081 for Biden and 13 for Trump. Oop. Just a little extra keystroke. They're not watching. They don't care. David Schaefer wrote on Twitter November 18th. On November 18th, after Lynn filed emergency motion, the Trump campaign paid the state of Wisconsin $3 million to conduct a recount in 2 counties. Legal challenges are also pending in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. The challenges in the 6 states will decide the outcome of the 2020 presidential race. And of course, if you want to follow him on Twitter, there is his Twitter tag. I got banned off Twitter. Literally, I joined, I don't know, I think within like 22 hours in, I posted a couple of my videos, said a few things, and I got banned. Like, literally, I'm still banned for 28 days. It's been, I think, like 2 weeks. And all I said was the Democrats cheat like the Houston Astros, and they steal what they can't earn. And I'm sorry, it's true. I mean, I thought it was funny. I got a lot of upvotes, and people thought it was hilarious, but someone definitely rubbed them the wrong way. So let's continue with the second story here, shall we? So this leads to the second part of the story. So this leads into what we were just talking about, why the governor of Georgia calls for an audit of signatures on ballot envelopes. By Ivan Pinchukov, same guy who wrote the last one. I keep butchering his name. Excuse me. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp on Friday urged that the state's top election official to conduct an audit of the signatures on ballot envelopes. Kemp, a Republican, made the remarks during a press conference during which he signaled that he would sign off the certification of election results after the Peach State conducted a risk-limiting audit of the presidential election, which showed Democratic nominee Sleepy Joe Biden ahead of President Donald Trump by 12,284 votes. It's important to note that this audit only looked at ballots, not the signatures of the absentee applications or the signatures on the ballot envelopes, Kemp said, adding that he would encourage Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to address concerns about the signatures. It seems simple enough to conduct a sample audit of signatures on the absentee ballot envelopes and compare those signatures on the application and on the file at the Secretary of State office. The risk-limiting audit, which has been referred to as a hand recount, turned up thousands of uncounted votes in 4 counties. More than a dozen witnesses of the recount signed sworn affidavits attesting to the errors and potential fraud, including Trump votes, which were counted for Biden, and suspicious batches of pristine, uncreased, and uniformly filled absentee ballots. Both mail-in ballots and provisional ballots voted in person are folded before being placed into a privacy envelope, making the absence of any creases odd. The odd batches were overwhelming for Biden. On one occasion, more auditors counted more than 500 of the pristine ballots in the row for the former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden. Trump and his campaign have repeatedly complained that the risk-limiting audit was meaningless without an examination of the signatures on the ballot envelopes, which is true. But again, the Republicans need to step up and do the job right the first time. Don't leave it up to the Democrats. They're not going to do it right. They don't care. As far as they know, the media said Biden won. The governor of Georgia and Secretary of State refused to let us look at the signatures, which would expose hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots and give the Republican Party and me, David Perdue, and perhaps Kelly Loeffler a big victory. The president wrote on Twitter on November 20th, "Why won't they do it? Why are they so fast to certify meaningless tally?" During the brief announcement on Friday, Kemp said that the certification of the election results opens new paths for the Trump campaign, including a recount. A day prior to Kemp's announcement, a Georgia federal judge denied a motion to block the certification, which was brought as part of a lawsuit by Lynn Wood, an attorney with the Trump campaign. Rudy Giuliani and the head of Trump post-election legal effort said on Thursday that the Trump campaign planned to file a lawsuit in Georgia on Friday. Raffensperger's office did not respond to a request for comment. The risk-limiting audit shrunk Biden's lead in the Peach State by 496 votes. 3 of the 4 batches of uncounted votes discovered during the audit contained more votes for Trump than Biden. Of course, if you want to follow him on Twitter, you can. So, unraveling this story, I know I kind of made it a little long for you guys, but this could be a huge win for Donald Trump. And, we probably would have had an answer today if they would have done it right. But I am really curious to see exactly how this unfolds, because however this unfolds sets the stage for how the other lawsuits and all the other affidavits, eyewitnesses and everything kind of print a bigger picture. And then also with what happened in Pennsylvania today and how the Dominion system, they agreed to show up, to talk about their system, and they lawyered up and didn't show. So, I mean, a lot of things are starting to shed some light, and I appreciate you guys' patience, because I know it's been bothering me. I know it's been bothering you guys, but you guys got to keep your head up. If Donald Trump just holds off the certification of a few states so no one could get 270, then the votes are going to go to the House. And I know it sounds bad because the Democrats have the House majority, but not necessarily. The Republicans actually have the House majority when it comes to states. They have like 37, and the Democrats have 13. But if you really count it out, because some of them are even a little extra Republican, and there's some never Trumper Republicans, I think the GOP actually holds 24 strong states to the Democrats' 13, and that's great news for Trump, because if the House is the one who elects Donald Trump, they all get 1 electoral vote each for each state. This thing's over. It's a win, baby. And I don't care how he gets in. He just needs to get in, because Sleepy Joe's not good for America. I mean, he don't care about anyone's agenda. He just cares about his own. I mean, you gotta look at it. He doesn't have much time left, so he's gonna go ham on America and do what he can. Get what he can out of it. He's a taker. He's not a giver. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content tonight. Please like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're seeing this on my old channel, check out my new channel, Crowned Conservatives. I swear it will be a huge hit. I will come out with content like this daily. This is my new style. This is what I'm going to do. So once again, you guys have a great night. Peace.